For 2,000 years, a single name has been spat into the dark as the ultimate symbol of betrayal. Humanity learned to hate him. But what was written by men is not what is engraved in the book of angels. The truth was hidden to protect the final plan. Judas Iscariot was not the weakest disciple. Seduced by 30 coins, he was the strongest, the only one who possessed the weight of soul necessary to endure eternal hatred. The Messiah was not caught by surprise. The Lamb was not blindly hunted by the shadows. He marched willingly to the celestial slaughterhouse. But to deceive the lord of the underworld, the plan required a divine theater, a false betrayal. The demonic hosts already surrounded the holy city. They watched every step of the Son of Light. If they knew the cross was the key to redemption, they themselves would have protected Jesus from death. They needed to be blinded. The alliance was forged in the silence of the Last Supper. While the other men became drunk on sorrow without understanding the destiny, Jesus looked at Judas. A silent order was given: the sacrifice of the body and the sacrifice of honor. What you are about to do quickly, the Master said. It was not a condemnation. It was an early absolution. Judas took the mantle of darkness so the light could shine. He accepted being hated by the world to save the world. The negotiation was not about silver. The 30 silver coins were a blood seal, an ancestral curse that needed to be anchored to a human soul. Judas took on the infection of sin so the cosmic scale could be balanced. Crossing the gates of Jerusalem that night, he did not walk alone. Legions of the abyss escorted him, celebrating the fall of man. But beneath the corrupted garments, Judas's heart beat like that of an infiltrated divine soldier. The Garden of Olives was not just a grove. It was a spiritual border between earth and absolute despair. The blue fog crawled along the ground while Messiah awaited the final act of the cosmic play of rescue. When the torches of the Roman guards tore through the darkness of the woods, hell smiled. They believed human weakness had finally broken the celestial lineage. But the kiss of betrayal was not what it seemed to be. It was a portal. Judas advanced toward the Master. Each step was a sharp knife driven into his own soul. He knew that, from that moment on, he would be cursed by all men who would be born under the sun of history. The Messiah did not retreat. Jesus' gaze met that of his most loyal soldier falling into the abyss. Friend, he called. That word tore through the cosmos. It was not irony. It was a recognition of the warrior who would bleed in life. And then the kiss. Not a seal of death, but a cosmic transfer. In that touch, Judas absorbed the magnetic energy of the demonic hosts into himself, freeing Jesus' soul to walk pure and immaculate to his death. Hell was deceived. The demonic matrix believed the corruption was complete, while, in truth, Judas functioned as a divine lightning rod, pulling all the concentrated curse of Jerusalem directly into his own bones. The invisible sacrifice. When the light faded and the soldiers advanced to chain the King of Heaven, the pact was consummated. Judas retreated into the darkness. His face now displayed black marks of corruption in his veins, the biological price of carrying the curse. He saw his master being taken, dragged by dirty hands. And, unlike Peter, who attacked with a sword and denied with his mouth, Judas did not fight. He had his own war to wage on the invisible battlefield of shadows. Tradition says Judas went mad with remorse and threw the silver coins in the temple before taking his own life. They called it suicide. But in the cosmic dimension, that act was not the death of a coward. It was a counterattack. By returning the blood coins to the sanctuary of the false righteous, Judas nullified the spell that bound the Messiah to the human system. He anchored the curse right at the root of hypocrisy, leaving the path clear for the resurrection. But the toll on the flesh was fatal. Judas's human body could not survive the spiritual voltage of the black magic he swallowed. He walked to the field of blood, knowing the gates of eternity would be closed to him. The solitary tree on the hill was not the stage of his hanging. but the portal to his final battle. The rope he tied around his neck was a final anchor to imprison the dark entities, dragging them with him into oblivion. When his body hung on the tree, his soul plummeted into the abyss. It was not the fall of a damned man, but the dive of a suicide soldier into enemy trenches. Judas sank into hell even before the Messiah was nailed to the cross, while the hammer sounded in Golgotha, driving nails into holy flesh. The echo of each blow resonated in the underworld like thunder of war. Christ's blood spilled on the earth, but it was Judas's spirit holding the gates of Tartarus. The darkness that covered the earth at noon was not just an eclipse. It was the smoke of the invisible battle. The legions of darkness tried to ascend and consume the Messiah in his hour of greatest pain, but they found a single man blocking the passage, shattered and covering the wounds of the ancestral curse. Judas bore the weight of cosmic hatred. Every demon that could not touch the cross unleashed its fury upon the traitor. He bled so the Lamb could die in peace. When Jesus uttered his final words, "It is finished," the temple veil was torn and the barrier of death was destroyed. The earthly mission was over. The Messiah was finally free from the chains of flesh. The Son of Light descended into the underworld, not just to rescue the patriarchs. He descended as a star-crowned general, kicking down the gates of hell to fetch the one who sacrificed himself in the darkness. There, in the center of the pit of cursed souls, the Messiah found Judas. Fallen, poisoned by the black magic, he swallowed for 30 coins, bound in the chains that should have held humanity. And, just as at the Last Supper, Jesus knelt down, he touched the corrupted hands of the false traitor. In that moment, there was no judgment or eternal fire. There was only the fulfilled promise, the supreme purification. The curse of Jerusalem was washed away. The man who took the original sin from the Messiah was raised again, not as a demon, but as the first archangel of redemption, the warrior who fought heaven's dirtiest battle. When Christ shattered the foundations of death and ascended in glory on the third day, the stone tomb was left empty, but the truth of that double sacrifice remained buried among men, too heavy for their mortal minds to bear. The disciples preached the betrayal. They wrote gospels based on what physical eyes witnessed. The coins, the kiss, the noose. Judas was cursed in 1,000 languages and spat upon by dozens of generations. The church needed a villain. Man needed a scapegoat for his own cowardly sins. They threw their guilt onto the shoulders of the one who had already carried the hatred of all hell. He never tried to defend himself, because Judas did not serve men. He served the Master. He accepted the exile from human memory as his eternal reward, aware that the truth, however dark and unjust it might be, had saved creation from its own collapse. In the Court of Souls and the Library of Archangels, history is read backward. There, the 30 coins are not the price of murder. They are medals of bravery. The sacred seal of the Supreme King's spy. He was the inverted mirror of Christ. While one ascended the wooden cross to receive the glory of the invisible world, the other descended to the solitary noose to embrace the dishonor of the visible world. Two halves of a single impossible rescue. If you ask men today what sacrifice is, they will say it is dying for those you love. But if you unravel the arcane theology hidden behind the scenes of Golgotha, the true definition of celestial sacrifice is not just giving up life. It is giving up one's own honor, allowing your name to be the eternal synonym for evil, so that God's true plan is not sabotaged. Judas is not the patron of traitors. In the hidden architecture of grace, he is the patron of those who do the dirty work in the absolute dark, the angel who burns his own wings to keep the furnace of light burning. The next time you hear the sound of 30 coins falling on a stone floor, do not think of the clinking of mortal greed. Think of the roar of spiritual chains being forcefully broken. For while humanity spat on the legend of the false traitor, the gates of paradise remain open, and the one who guards them in the impenetrable darkness of the border is Judas, the man who accepted being the demon on earth, so that Christ could be the king in heaven